Hey guys, today we have Aryan and he is having almost 1 year of experience in Java and Spring Boot. So let's get started. Hey, hi Aryan, how are you?
Yeah, hi, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm also good. Shall we start?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So can you please introduce yourself and your recent project?
Right. So, hi, I'm Aryan. I have an experience of
Mm-hmm.
around 1 year in Java development in banking sector.
Okay. Okay.
I have experience over Java, Spring Boot, REST APIs, microservices, and SQL, NoSQL databases.
Mm-hmm.
Coming to my latest project, yeah, I worked partially on two projects. First one was on data migration,
Okay.
and the second was for kind of we were in a middleman between two teams, two
Mm-hmm.
back offices.
Mm-hmm.
We were getting some data from somewhere, performing some request validations, and like whether the request is in correct format or not. Then entitlement check, like client is already is even authorized to get through the
Okay.
URL API or not, then perform some transformation and then again sending back that data to another back office team.
Okay. So migration from which data to which data?
Yeah, so it was a sequel to some we were doing to AWS database, and there
Mm-hmm.
was two data migration going on in the same place. One database to in-house, which was
Okay.
in one table to another table, and
Mm-hmm.
other one was to AWS database. So,
Okay. Okay, and you have experience for both data, NoSQL and SQL database.
yeah, yeah, kind of right.
Okay, okay. So which would you prefer in future if someone asks you to work on some database thing? So which would
Definitely SQL, SQL.
SQL? Why not NoSQL?
So actually, NoSQL, like for example, MongoDB or something like that, is good for only if someone wants to get a production ready application within just a few times where there is no restriction over the data what we are kind of sending or these are kind of things. But in
Mm-hmm.
SQL, we put some restrictions so that we cannot, even by mistake, cannot send some shady data or some another type of data which is not required. Maybe that might increase the size of that call. And
Okay.
so, yeah,
But MongoDB and all, they are just trending nowadays.
right, right.
People say like SQL is getting into some backward, something like that. Is
No,
it true?
actually, no. What I think is like
Mm-hmm.
whenever we are using MongoDB also. So,
Mm-hmm.
for example, Stack project, people use MongoDB. So,
Mm-hmm.
inside there also they are using some kind of interface of which actually restricts and the documentation means the form in which we send data into MongoDB
Mm-hmm.
to an structured format like in SQL only. So they are inherently converting it only into the kind of SQL data. So
Okay.
yeah, they are restricting in the sense.
Okay. So how OOPs are playing important role in your project?
Right. So the major role is inheritance. Polymorphism is the thing where actually we are everywhere we are actually implementing or
Mm-hmm.
extending some classes or implementing some interfaces. So
Okay.
that's actually a really very important thing
Mm-hmm.
in every project, not in just my project.
Okay.
Another thing is object oriented, like as it says, we have our entity classes that need to be in
Mm-hmm.
form of object. DTO class is same thing.
Okay.
Then yeah, inheritance is same. It's just an implementation of polymorphism. And then
Okay. Okay.
encapsulation is almost there, and it
Mm-hmm.
should be there as it's a Java, and we needs to be encapsulate and for the privacy part of the
Mm.
classes, right? So
So
everything.
how do you find the memory leakage in Java Spring Boot project?
Memory leakage in I'm not sure about that, but
Mm-hmm.
Java gave us our garbage collector, which from which we can
Okay.
actually avoid this kind of memory leakage. So
Mm.
we
Okay.
can use that, right?
Okay. Okay. So Aryan, before moving on to the next question, do you know that we have designed a complete interview preparation package, structured step by step, containing 16 PDFs? So I would like to give a brief on this.
Mm.
It's basically a one-stop solution to crack any interview. This package covers more core Java, Spring Framework, Maven, Git, Spring Boot, scenario-based question, Spring Security, Spring MVC, Spring Data, JPA, microservices, Hibernate, general Java coding question, Stream API coding questions, and many more. The best part is that people have been telling me they cracked their interviews with this material, and there is a 99% chance that the interviewer will ask questions from this package. And there is a quiz in each step, and professional resume templates are also available. So after this interview, I will share a link with you to get this, and also I will add in the description of this video. Okay, so now moving to our questions.
Right.
Is Java 100% object-oriented programming language?
No, just because it support the primitive data types, it prevents to being fully 100% object-oriented programming because it's not object, the primitive data types.
Because of primitive data types.
Right.
Can primitive data types stores null value?
No. It can store their default values. For example, integer,
Mm-hmm.
zero, string. String is not in this, but
Okay.
character is like you get it. They store their default values.
Okay. So can you explain the concepts of classes and objects?
Right. So classes is actually a blueprint of how
Mm-hmm.
an object should be, and object is just an implementation of class. And
Okay.
since it isn't just class, is just in logic, it does not
Mm-hmm.
actually have any store. Does not take any memory space.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so when we create an object, we just mimics the whatever they think is in the class, that
Mm-hmm.
is their data members, and the behavior that would be our functions. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
objects
So
actually
can you
take
provide
space.
an real world example?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, the best one example you can give is like when we create an like for example, an building. So
Mm-hmm.
the first step is we create a blueprint on a map and paper.
Mm-hmm.
So that actually isn't supposed that is our class, we can say, and the
Mm-hmm.
building which is actually being created is our object on the basis of
Okay.
the blueprint we have.
Okay. What are the ways to create an object, or how do you create an object?
Right. So, yeah, I can recollect three, four ways. Like one is the traditional way by using the new keyword.
Okay.
Another is by using some sort of factory design pattern, which will give us our object like get instance, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And the other ways I can remember by using clone, we get the
Mm-hmm.
object. And I remember we can also get it by using deserialization also.
Okay. So
Right.
what's the best scenario of using clone method?
Best scenario in the sense,
I mean, in your code or anywhere where we should use, I mean, we should prefer clone method in order to create object.
right. So those classes, beans or entities, those classes which needs to be recreated every now and then should implement clonable, and we can use the clone method over there, because creating a new class with the help of
Mm-hmm.
new keyword takes a lot of memory processor space, processor, and clone just does it in much more efficient way. So yeah.
Okay. Mm. Okay. So can a class in Java be without any methods or fields?
Yeah, sure. It could be an empty class. There is nothing wrong with it.
But I mean, have you created ever or like this?
No. I'm just giving out from my intuition, because it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't, it does not have, means it is not violating any rules of Java. So I don't
Okay.
think. Right,
Mm. Have you worked with singleton class?
right.
Can you
So
explain?
yes.
Yeah.
The purpose of singleton class is to provide a unified object and throughout the
Mm-hmm.
whole application. When
Okay.
I say unified object means whenever I want the object of that class, it does not create a new object. It gives the object which is already been created to the 1,000 calls, or when how many calls
Mm-hmm.
we are getting to that object. So now this gives us the benefit of having less memory in our heap. Also,
Mm-hmm.
the one another thing is, yeah, that's the best means. So that's why we are using it. Uh, so how
Okay.
do we create an singleton class? Would be like we create a private constructor, because constructor call is the key to
Mm-hmm.
getting a object. So we make it private, so no other class can able to get it. Then
Mm-hmm.
we create a static variable which will hold the object of the that own class, and we'll pass it over in another static method, will like get instance or something, so that the another class or whoever wants that object will get it through the class name because it is static.
Okay. Are these thread safe?
By default, no, it is not thread safe. No.
Okay. So can we make them thread safe?
Yeah. Yes,
How?
I think we can use this synchronized block over the instance where the instantiation is being happened. So that would
Okay.
make it thread safe.
Okay. 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 So what is constructor?
Constructor is just another method in a class which is used to create object of that class
Okay.
with a new keyword. And the first the first call inside a constructor would be to the super, and super is just a reference to the parent, immediate parent class constructor.
Okay. Can we use a private constructor?
Yes, singleton is an implementation of private constructor only.
Okay. Can constructor be overloaded?
Yes, constructors can be overloaded, right? There is no violation, and we
Okay.
many
What's the
times,
use case of using different constructor?
right? Just with an example, if we have um, an class called area, which calculates area of different kinds of object in shapes. If it takes one uh, argument. So we'll
Okay.
calculate the area of, let's say, circle. It's pi r square. We just need r. If it gets 2, then we might consider it calculating area of square or rectangle. So same constructor with different arguments. We can do it in like that way, right?
Okay. Okay. Uh, what does mean by abstraction in Java?
Right. So it's actually hiding the data,
Okay.
actually implementation of the thing which we are trying to call behind some thing, but we
Okay.
just give out the uh, reference to how they can actually get the implementation of those things.
Okay. Can you provide examples of where abstraction is effectively used in Java libraries?
Yeah, all those collection framework list, set,
Okay.
map, these all are under abstraction because we don't know how it is actually internally working, but still we
And
are
any
using it.
other example apart from the Java, outside Java?
In real world scenario,
Yeah, in real world, anything.
okay, yeah, sure, because let's say we are using an mobile, or let's say a computer. I'm seeing the screen and I actually don't know how it is internally working, but still I'm getting the gist key. I'm able to see.
Okay. What happens if a class includes an abstract method?
Right. So that class also need to be marked as an abstract, and that class cannot be instantiated anymore.
Okay. 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 I'm moving ahead. How does abstraction help in achieving loose coupling in software application?
Right. So abstraction provides us a high level of blueprint, which with the help of which we can provide multiple implementations over things. So so that's why we can able to get the loose coupling.
Okay. 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 Yeah. Moving ahead. What is interface?
Interface is a class which it's not an actually class, but kind of a class which is kind of 100% abstracted. It can have
Okay.
methods which are public and abstract by default, and they cannot have body. From
Okay.
Java, we can have also static and default methods in the uh, interfaces.
Okay. Okay. Can you provide examples of when to use an interface versus when to extend a class?
Right. Um, So, in case we can only extend one class. So, if there are two or more things when we want to have, then we
Okay.
cannot use extend. In those scenarios, we can use interfaces because we can implement n number of interfaces in a class.
Okay. Okay. Can an interface in Java contain static methods?
Right, yes, you can have.
Okay, so how can they be used?
Uh, for example, some if there is something which I want in all the classes which we are implementing for anything,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so we can put it under a static method. So it will act
Okay.
as in just normal static method of just another class can access is using the
Mm-hmm.
interface name.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, nice. Moving ahead, can you explain a Liskov substitution principle?
Yes, so it comes under solid principles. So
Mm-hmm.
it is when an the derived class or child class is
Mm-hmm.
substitutable with the parent classes, and
Mm-hmm.
it does not break the code it does not break the compiler. So that
Okay.
happens. That is our Liskov's principle.
Okay. And what about open and close?
Right. So it says ki a class should be open to this
Mm-hmm.
extension, not close to modification. Just it's simple. If I want to modify, I want to add some new feature in a class, I should not modify in the present class. I should extend it in
Okay.
another class and provide the new implementation.
Okay. So give me an example of design pattern which is based on this open close principle.
Okay. Design pattern based on uh, um, uh,
Okay, no problem.
design pattern. I'm not able to recollect design pattern, but we actually
So
almost
what,
everything. Mhm.
like, do you know why do we use design pattern?
Yes, they are kind of providing solution to the problems which we might face. So some smart people already made some patterns which we can follow to avoid those problems.
Okay. I mean, which Spring Boot version you are using in your project?
3.x version 3.
3 point. And which Java version?
8.
8.
Right.
Okay. Okay. So is 3.x version is compatible with Java 8?
Yes. Yes. I guess. I
Are you
guess it.
sure?
Uh, yeah. Let me just recall. Is it even 3 point or something or?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I guess it was 3.3 or 3.2 something. So might be I'm wrong.
Okay.
Or
Yeah,
it is
please check
possible. Yeah,
after.
sure.
Yeah. Okay. And what's the difference between Spring Framework and Spring Boot?
Yeah, Spring Boot is actually built on the top of Spring Framework only. So
Mm-hmm.
it provides us the means to get the web application kind of thing, and it provides some additional features or we enhance the experience which we were not getting in Spring Framework. For example,
Mm-hmm.
boilerplate code was abstracted from us. Spring Boot all
Mm-hmm.
handles all kind of things. Then we get I'm not sure embedded server was there or not in Spring. So no, it was
Mm-hmm.
not there. Spring Boot gets us with the embedded server only. Also,
Mm-hmm.
then dependency management was way to make Spring Boot made way too easier than the earlier versions.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think ISA container was not there before
Yeah,
this
yeah.
the application context. Right?
So what are the modules of Spring Framework?
So sorry, modules.
Yeah, yeah, modules.
Sorry, can you tell me like for an example? Then I
For
might.
example, core for managing objects, Spring Core, AOP for writing extra
Ah,
feature.
right. There are some. Is the Spring Web or these are the dependencies, right? Because modules, if I'm not sure if I am getting it right or not. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, AOP, as you tell, as
Like web for creating web application.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so we have web, then we have that data JPA for connection with the
Spring
database.
Security,
Yes, Spring Security. We have a
test. Mm-hmm.
test containers, right?
Okay. What is a Spring Bean?
Yeah, Spring Bean is in short is kind of a POJO plain old Java object, which
Okay.
it just returns an object, it
Mm-hmm.
return kind of a class, and it said it is a backbone of any Spring framework because the beans are actually gets managed by the dependency injection
Mm-hmm.
via the application context.
Okay. Okay. What is the role of IOC container?
Right. So initially, what we have to do is while injecting any dependency, when I say dependency, it's kind of object. When I want to inject an object in my class, I had to use a kind of new keyword. So IOC provides us the framework which that thing will manage all the dependency management kind of thing, and we don't
Okay.
have to worry about it.
What's the difference between constructor injection, setter injection?
Constructor injection when we inject the dependency with the help of constructor, and setter when we use with the setter method, setter method.
Which one among is the best?
Yeah, I would say AutoWire by Spring Boot.
Okay. Okay. Can you explain the internal working of Spring Boot?
Right. So we have the pom.xml where we define all the dependencies which we are going to use in our project. Then
Okay.
whenever the first our program runs, it goes to the main method. It just checks it has the dependency annotation, Spring Boot annotation, which consists of three: configuration, enable auto configuration, and component scan. So enable auto configuration does what? It just scans the pom.xml. It checks whether the all dependencies are loaded in our project or not. If not, then it downloads it and then in the form of jar files. Then configuration, it tells just our main class can have beans in it, and component can it's just for scanning the components in the with comparison to the base class package. So yeah, it then after that it runs that run class from the Spring application, and it actually initializes the application context, which actually manages all the beans inside it.
Okay.
That's the flow of Spring Boot.
What are the Spring Boot starter dependencies?
Yeah, I can recollect few like we have starter parent, we have this
JPA,
data JP also, and the web also, which
web,
includes Tomcat, all things. Yeah, these all.
test.
Test is also one of them. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, what does the Spring Boot application annotation do internally?
Yeah, a Spring Boot application, right? So as I told, it's an combination of three configuration, enable auto configuration, and component scan. What it does is uh, scans the form. If the dependency is not present, download it. Then configuration it's just an means to tell that our main class could be can have beans in it, and components can just scan for the component to get it inside the application context. That's
Okay. Okay. And what is auto wiring?
yeah. With the help of auto wiring, we can actually inject the dependency in our class, which is being managed by our application context.
Okay. Okay. So, uh, can I give you some or one coding problem?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Are you comfortable?
Not very much, but still, I'll try.
Okay. So just do one thing. Don't write the code. Just tell me logic like how would you approach? Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So you are given an array
Mm-hmm.
and the array contain only 0 and 1. Only two type of digits. That
Got
is
it.
0 and 1. Okay.
Right.
And your task is to shift all the 0 into the left side and all the ones into the right side.
Right.
So
Simple.
what approach would you take?
Yeah. I can just iterate over the array, and
Okay.
let's say I have a variable, let's say count of 0, and
Mm-hmm.
whenever I get the 0 as an index in the
Mm-hmm.
variable, so just increment that count of 0 variable and iterate over the array. Now,
Mm-hmm.
during the second loop, I will
Mm-hmm.
create another loop and just with from 0 to the
Mm-hmm.
count of 0, which I have already defined. Up until 12, I will push 0 into the array, and after that, all ones. That could
So
be
you
one.
are doing kind of storing all the 0 and 1 in the map.
No, not map. I'm just counting how many number of zeros are there, and then iterating
How
over
many
the
number of ones are there?
number of
Exactly.
zeros or one
Got it.
anything.
What would be the time complexity?
O of 2n, like because we are two
Hmm.
times iterating over the array.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, Aryan, it's done from my end.